Okay, well, welcome back, explorers of elsewhere, to this Warhammer special of D&D 5th edition. I'm joined by Dan and Tim and Staff and Tom and Callum. My name is Matt, and we are on the mystery-soaked jungles of Lustria tonight. Our enterprising group of mercenaries and scallywags, thieves, let's be honest, some of you, have come to the Southlands to try and reinforce a expedition that's been having some problems. The purpose of the expedition is to recover some relics of some supposed lost civilization on the Lustrian continent. Obviously all nonsense, but you never know. There could be something of value here. Yeah, we've run into some problems. Some guards have been going missing. You've interacted with a couple of key NPCs, and then some strange reptilian beastmen appear to have emerged out of the jungle and the fog and grabbed lots of the other expedition members. So you've successfully fought them off, and I believe actually captured one alive. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that goes. But with that all said, is everyone happy to dive back into the old world?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Fantastic. So we find the five of you, the fog having kind of retreated from the camp. You're standing in a scene of utter devastation, really. Several of the buildings have been broken open, broken down. There are corpses littering the ground, both reptilian and human. And there is an eerie silence over the remains of the expedition's camp. You can't see any signs of life or movement. The only exception being the paralysed bipedal reptile that is standing in your midst, frantically straining against the magic that is holding it there. And its cold yellow eyes are darting to each of you and then to the heavy stone club that it was forced to drop. What do you do?
I would like to leave the group to investigate this fella.
Okay.
And Shooter would, as he put Hunter's Mark on the fleeing, what I can only describe as a crocodile, I would like to see if I can perceive where he's gone, in what direction, and roughly sort of like what his tracks are.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think you'd have any problem. I won't make you roll while the spell lasts. The creature, whatever it was, this hulking reptilian brute, has apparently retreated back into the jungle, and is heading kind of roughly, certainly away from the coast, rapidly heading sort of east, I guess. Would that be east? West.
Away from the coast, though, so on our map, upwards.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah,
sure.
So upwards from your point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, what you probably see from the thing is Shooter looking surprisingly inquisitive and like calm, and actually sort of looking perceptive of his surroundings and moving up towards it, maybe looking at the ground, ruffling some of the ground, putting it in his mouth, all that sort of thing. Just getting a rough idea of where they've gone, and sort of looking at the jungle ahead of them.
So Shooter, you know that you, as a relatively experienced tracker, you know that you're on a bit of a time scale here, because tracks don't stay fresh, and while you're pretty confident that you can track this creature now with its size, it's going to be leaving quite a trail, and your magic obviously is helping, but over time the jungle is going to sort of return to normal. The tracks are going to fade away. It's going to become more difficult to track this thing.
Yeah, and I think this is something that like Bill or Butch has seen me do quite a lot on our travels. So I'll give him a few minutes, but you might see him getting a bit antsy.
I'm Dietrich's gonna step forwards his eyes like sunken even more into his skull than normal, sweating, pale in comparison, like blood veins kind of blackened around the spot where that dart struck him in the neck. And he staggers forward towards Naxine, like breathing heavily from the fight, and sort of like that. His eyes are wildly going from this creature to her. And what is your plan now, girl? That thing's going to try and tear your throat out as soon as your magics dissipate.
Nax, gone. Demetrius.
As soon as there's a slightly aggressive movement towards Naxine, Demetrius would start moving back towards her in this situation. He's also going to be fumbling with his pepper box and desperately trying to unjam the bloody thing, which went out for the winter last time. So I don't know if I need to roll anything to see if I can actually clear the misfire mat, or if the time I've got enough to.
Yeah, you can roll me a either a sleight of hand or maybe just an intelligence check, whichever you prefer.
Sleight of hand, because Demetrius is not the brightest.
No.
Nice. Okay, yeah, you managed to clear whatever the jam was, maybe some like gunk that had formed from the gunpowder or whatever, and scrape that out, and you reckon you've got it working again.
Yeah. He'll obviously leave Nax to have a conversation, but he'll move over there because he's a little way away at the moment. But he's not going to be very happy about the priest's tone towards her. Sure. Well, Nax, you know that you've only got very limited time before this creature is no longer under your control. So whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to do quickly.
Yeah, Nax is obviously concentrating on the spell as her primary aim, which takes a little bit of effort. As much as she's an adept wizard, that does still require her concentration mostly. But she hears Dietrich's words, and she's still maintaining focus on this spell and on the creature. But she just says rather coolly, especially seeing Demetrius sort of like mobilise nearby. And she says, Dietrich, dear, if you wouldn't mind getting some rope and tying this thing down, then maybe we won't have to rely on my magic.
I like the glow in the sky from the daylight spell I've cast. Like, flickers for a moment as I struggle with it, and I will like look around and try to find like a spool of rope. I mean, I'm expecting to find something within the camp, just kind of laying around.
Oh, there were all those ropes we had the guards tied to.
Yeah, there's plenty of rope. Unfortunately, less guards.
Yeah, I'll head over to one of the posts that once upon a time had a guard attached to it and now is just rope. And like I'll mutter protestations to Sigmar under my breath as I like wrench the pipe, wrench the piton type thing out of the ground.
In the meantime, I'll wander up to Nax and just say, "All right, wizard, Shooter's got the scent. We're gonna finish this one off and go."
Oh, I didn't realise Shooter, and probably Nax is sort of racking her brains to remember whether she knew that Shooter had that ability. Would she have seen that on our travels, Shooter? Because I don't think Nax was really nearby.
Very briefly, a lot of the time he uses it to be better in combat. So a lot of the time he uses it for the extra focus, I guess. So you'd maybe see him getting a bit more focused and like he is within the combats that we've had, but we haven't had to track anything together yet. So this would be the first time you've seen it.
Yeah, so Bill saying that to Nax probably just ever so slightly knocks her, because she'd got a whole plan of action as to why she wanted this thing alive, etc. But Bill telling her that Shooter's got the scent, probably.
Yeah, he's got the nose like a bloodhound.
Oh, no.
Let me bleed this one and let's go.
Well, yes, that's probably fine then. If Shooter knows where we're going, and
just a moment, all of you. I've got an idea.
I stop with my kitchen knife, like halfway.
Demetrius is going to say to Nax, keep the spell up, why don't you, my dear? Give me just a moment. I'm quite good at this sort of thing. And he's going to sidle over to the Saurus warrior. He's going to put his hand on its forehead, very gingerly, quite conscious of the fact that if this spell goes, then he might lose his hand. And he's going to use Detect Thoughts.
Okay. Do I need any kind of save for that?
That is a good question.
Probably not for the base version.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it works if you can't understand their language.
Well, I mean, Demetrius doesn't think about that kind of thing. I initially learned the surface thoughts of the creature, even if the surface thoughts are dinner.
Okay, all right. No problem. So,
hold on.
The surface thoughts would be kind of raw aggression, I suppose. Not kind of completely unintelligent, not like not like you'd expect from the thoughts of a beast or something like that. Slightly more. It's not kind of just driven by hunger or instinct, but definitely a negative. A certain animosity towards you and a desire to pick up that stone club and bash your brains out with it.
Okay, so Demetrius is going to try and dig a little deeper. So you can try and make a wisdom saving throw.
And while everyone's surrounding this lizard, if anybody looks over to Shooter, he's sort of, when a child needs to wee. Come on. Come on.
Okay, I'm guessing an 8 fails.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So if it fails, you get an insight into its reasoning, its emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind. Okay. So emotional state, it would be angry, as I said, probably frustrated by its inability to get to you, but probably underneath that a sense of failure or of a purpose unfulfilled, and something approaching shame. You guess that shame itself is kind of alien to this thing's mind, but something like that, and something about that it being significant that the people were taken rather than just slaughtered. You're looking around at the bodies, and there's plenty of bodies around, but it seems like the creatures only killed those they couldn't take alive, and they seem to be trying to take captives. And from what you can see of this thing's thought, there's a burning need for that to have happened, as far as it's concerned.
I feel, Matt, I should probably say every 6 seconds this thing gets a wisdom saving throw to break the spell, which I've only just remembered. So it might be that maybe this thing breaks 3 a little bit sooner than planned.
Thanks, Staff.
Yeah, you probably told us way more than you should have.
It's going to be very, very big. Because right now it's on the creature's snout.
You can see its snout is quivering under your hand, Demetrius, and with suppressed rage, and you can feel it straining against the invisible bonds holding it.
Okay. And so once I've learned what I need to know, the repeater pistol is going into its mouth, and I'm pulling the trigger.
Okay. There's a deafening blast. Yeah. And the creature's
I need to roll in case it jumps again.
Yeah, roll to hit.
Yeah, you can roll to hit. The thing's dead, but we'll see if your pistol blows up in your hand.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Right, we're good.
Okay, you're all right. So the thing topples as the back of its skull just projects outwards, and Dietrich, you're kind of stood directly behind it, so you get coated in this fine mist.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, holding this rope that you never got to use.
I was just gonna, watching the execution happen. Like I'm holding the rope like a noose, and like as Dietrich gets splattered with blood, there's this like grim satisfaction on his face, and the glowing spiritual hammer that he conjured earlier just fades into motes of light, disappears.
No stealing people's kills. All right, come on before Shooter throws a tantrum again.
Do we know how many of the guards are still here?
So
I saw
looking
that they were taking
around,
people into the jungle, but
actually you can't see anybody.
dang.
The only person that was left was the wizard, wasn't he? That barricaded the door so that poor Bill couldn't get in to hide.
I was with him. Before he barricaded himself in the office, but I was able to get into the building. So in theory, he's still there, unless there's been a real sneaky one popping in recently. I guess I'll just yell like, "Marius, you come in!"
The door to his house slowly opens, and this terrified-looking wizard sticks his head out, kind of looks around at the carnage around him. Is it over? Are they gone?
For now.
He sees him sort of visibly sag in relief. Oh, good. We're safe then.
Well, until they come back, of course. Unless you want to come with us.
Come with you where?
We've got to go and get these idiots back, haven't we?
This way.
He looks at where Shooter's pointing. You don't mean into the jungle, surely?
Obviously into... No! I mean, we're going to the pub. Yes, it's the jungle.
He kind of looks around, and you can see he's clutching for dear life these rubbings that you saw earlier, that he'd taken of an obelisk in the jungle, where he hadn't taken them. Some scouts had taken them and brought them back to him. And you remember him saying that he's never actually been in the jungle himself. He's not really much of a field agent. But he's kind of clutching these rubbings for dear life, as if they're going to somehow shield him from these lizards. Perhaps it would be best if I remained here, just to safeguard the papers and it's important. He starts muttering about important research.
Good idea, because they might come back to get those while we're gone. They might come back while we're gone, so you stay here. I'm sure you'll be
Without any
fine.
of the guards remaining, that's who we're going to rescue. No one else is here, apart from you, to keep the camp. Great, very brave of you, Marius.
Bill, can you roll me a persuasion check, please, with advantage?
Sure. 21, amazingly.
So he looks down at his papers, and then he looks around at the corpses littering this camp, the broken down buildings, and then he looks up at you, looks at the jungle, coughs, straightens his robes, and goes, "Yes, well, you will need my magical expertise, of course. I'll accompany.
Good man.
For your own protection." But you notice that he goes and stands quite close to Shooter.
I wouldn't stand behind him quite like that.
You learn that quickly.
Best to his side.
I clap Marius on the shoulder, and don't worry, Sigmar will remember this selfless bravery.
He doesn't look that encouraged, Dietrich, but he kind of nods absent-mindedly.
Demetrius might offer him some of his wineskin. I find this helps.
And as everyone starts to convene towards Shooter very, very slowly, he's going to go, right, we're going then?
Yes, I don't think we can waste any time here anymore. There's nothing here for us.
Great.
Just as a last thing I'd like to do before we go, can I just, as Marius is passing me, sleight of hand pin the medal onto his coat? The one that I borrowed from Dietrich.
Yeah, go for it.
Sweet.
See, he doesn't just steal; he gives back.
24.
Oh, amazing. I assume you're putting it where a medal would go on the front.
If I can reach it, yeah. Otherwise, just
Yeah,
as
I
high
think-
as I can get.
I think with a 24, you can manage. You can reach it.
Magic.
Yeah.
And as we just before we go, even though Shooter's wearing a hat, you probably see his ears prick up like a dog with a scent, and he goes without much more notice heading into the forest.
Go get him, boy.
So
Okay.
Demetrius will just impart what he's learned from the Saurus warrior to the rest of the group, and the fact that I do believe actually our compatriots may in fact be alive. It seems that there is some nefarious purpose behind these terrible scaly beastmen.
That's what I was afraid of, to be honest. Sometimes if these creatures were to just kill, then at least we could just kill them back. But this is a bit more complicated this way.
Don't you worry, my dear. I'm old hat at rescuing people from evil, if you recall.
She nods and she says, and I'm very thankful for that, Demetrius. Very thankful.
Well, yes, of course.
Well, we better make it quick. Some lads I knew in the moot were taken by beastmen. We haven't got long.
So as you guys head into the jungle, you only go about 10, maybe like 15, 20 yards before you can no longer see the enclosure that the camp was in. And without Shooter's magic and tracking skills, you realise you wouldn't even be able to find your way back to that confidently. And so it's not very long at all before you're kind of completely lost and just following Shooter blindly. Luckily, the ogre seems to have an unerring sense of exactly where you're heading. He just kind of turns one way and then starts sprinting in that direction, and then he suddenly changes track, stops, looks at some broken twigs on the ground, and then kind of veers off a little bit in another direction, just crashing through the undergrowth wildly. There's no kind of path or anything that you can see.
I will, as we move further into the jungle, we lose sight of the enclosure, because it is like midnight, isn't it? Like it's dead of night.
It's nighttime, yeah.
So I'll raise the mace and I'll enchant and camp to myself, and the head of the mace glows to give us some illumination.
Great.
And then I hold it like a torch.
Sure. You keep following after Shooter for probably like 30-40 minutes. Shooter, your frustration grows and grows as you can feel your quarry still eluding you, and unfortunately the magic that is aiding you track it kind of beginning to fade as its sort of duration runs out. You realise that you're going to have to rely on your own kind of natural skills from this point onwards. So if you could make me a survival check, please, that would be great.
Sure.
I'm going to put my hand on your upper arm, and with an affirmative nod, I will I'll give you guidance.
Oh, I'm in concentration, so I was going to slap it like a mosquito, but then realise that you're helping me out. Oh, yeah.
Roll to hit.
Survival, yeah.
Survival, please, yeah.
Sigma guides our way, my friend.
So it's an 8 plus what's the thing?
Plus D4.
D4. Plus a 3, so it's 11. There
Okay.
and there.
Shooter, you think you find a trail that can only have been left by huge kind of clawed feet, and you sort of confidently lead the group following this particular track for perhaps a quarter of an hour, maybe 20 minutes, and then the track kind of suddenly ends at a series of small pools, and you realise that whatever created it has gone into these pools, and you can't seem to find the tracks again after that, and you're there kind of a sick feeling of dread starting to form in the pit of your stomach as you realise that you've lost the trail.
Yeah, and then it'll turn back around, probably to Bill, most likely. And so, I think they went in there, but I ain't got nothing else, mate. I'm afraid. This is, I think we're going to need to rely on our savvies, you know?
Ooh, you never lose them.
Well, I didn't say I lost
Bloody
them.
hell.
I just think they went in here.
Good point. Good point. Right,
I ain't the best swimmer, Bill. I prefer a boat.
I mean, I ain't got long arms.
Can
Anyone
I
else any
investigate the
ideas?
pools while we're here? After I pass that on to him.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. I guess what particularly are you sort of getting like poking around in them, or you just wanted to kind of?
So I guess my first thing is how clear is it, and then also can I work out how deep it is, or is there any sort of like, because I think they've gone into them, but it's only a small pool, so how can they hide in it? It's probably my best bet.
Yeah, they don't look massively deep from where you are. They're kind of small, maybe like 10 feet across. They kind of vary in size as a whole, like load of them in close proximity to each other. The water's not clear particularly. It's quite brackish, and you wouldn't want to drink it, which makes it quite hard to kind of see how deep it is for sure. But you're guessing by the diameter of them that they're probably not massively deep.
While they're checking the pool, given that we're like deep in the jungle, like I imagine Dietrich's kind of stood next to Maxine, and one of Dietrich's quirks has been the like when he has an idea, he'll just start vocalizing it to himself out loud, and he's looking around and he'll say, "This doesn't seem all that different from tracking the beastmen in the Reichwald forests." And I'm going to see if perhaps the pond is where the trail stops, or if in fact there is some sort of other disturbance around to show there's a change of direction to throw us off scent. Like, is this actually where we're supposed to be looking?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Hoping for survival.
You'd like survival. Okay, you can have a survival. That's fine.
Okay. I will mutter to myself, cast guidance on myself, and then
Oh boy.
roll a 20 mini.
Possible 30 with guidance.
bloody hell, why'd we have
Roll
the
a
ogre leading us?
27. Roll a 27.
I like the way that DJ was just stood behind the ogre there while everyone was talking about how he's got a nose for this kind of thing.
Oh, I have a sad question. Are you still poisoned? Oh.
How long? It was for a minute. Wasn't
It was only a minute, so you wouldn't be now. No, you start to feel a bit better.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love the way your brain works, though, Tim. That's great.
I've successfully sweat it out of my system.
Some mosquitoes bite you and just die.
Yeah. So yeah, Dietrich's gonna dive into some lessons learned from some very painful memories back home in the Reichland, and yeah, what's a 27 tell us?
So 27 would tell you, Dietrich, that you remember a particular occasion in the Reichwald where a party of beastmen that you were tracking deliberately kind of went out of their way to wade through a small stream because it obscured their tracks, but also it meant that your hounds lost the scent.
Yeah.
So you've seen beastmen use this tactic before, and you suspect a similar thing has happened here because the pools probably aren't deep enough. You're guessing for there to be lizard-like creatures of that size actually in them, or at least not as many as attack the camp. So you're guessing that they just kind of went through here to throw any potential pursuit off. But in addition to that, with a 27, because that's just obscenely high, towards the far side of the pools, probably like 50 meters away from you, there's what appears to be a kind of a crumbling stone edifice of some kind. You can just about see it, and then it's kind of cloaked in more trees and vines. And beyond that, in the sky, much further away, a cloud of birds suddenly rises from the canopy and disperses.
The scariest, the most troubling thing with these beastly creatures is that not only is there an unnatural desire to follow chaotic means, but sometimes they have an intelligence beneath it all. Look, over there, and I'll kind of point the mace in that direction to try and highlight.
Shooter immediately goes over that way.
I believe they were trying to lose us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Is Marius still with us, and how has he found the journey through the initial part of the jungle?
His beautifully pristine white robes are torn by like thorns and vines. He's caked in mud up to his waist. He looks thoroughly miserable.
But
He had this sort of like stiff high collar that is sort of traditional for wizards of the Light College to wear, and it's just sadly drooped with the moisture in the air. He just looks like he's having the worst day of his life. But he's sort of lapsed into a kind of a miserable silence rather than complaining.
Bet he's wishing he'd taken prestidigitation now.
Yeah.
I think Nax probably whispers to him. It gets easier to keep up with them. They're very good, honestly.
Right, let's go. Guns out. Let's go.
So on that note, the bedraggled-looking wizard, as he comes through and looking sad, Demetrius will prestidigitation him. Oh, don't worry, my friend. I've got you, sir. And just tidy him up a little bit, because I'm a man of dignity and means.
He looks momentarily cheered by this and quite grateful, Demetrius. And kind of with renewed morale, he starts to follow Shooter towards this stone edifice, immediately stepping into one of these pools and just sinking up to his knee in it, and the brackish filth stains all of the white robes that you just cleaned for him.
I don't know why I bother sometimes.
It's the thought.
Don't forget to check for dire leeches.
Don't worry, you won't be able to see the blood of our foes on that soiled cloth now.
Do you have anything that might help the search, Marius? Nax asks.
He's like he seems to be focused on his robes, but then as these birds kind of lift up out of the canopy en masse, his brow furrows. Well, they look like they were disturbed by something. Could it be that way?
I imagine that's where Shooter's about to take us. I wondered more if you had anything, magic-wise that might be used to track anything or see through the jungle, anything like that.
He sniffs kind of haughtily, and it's not really the focus of my training.
Is books, yes. You said.
But then his eyes settle on the stone obelisk thing at the other side of the pools, and he suddenly gets quite excited and starts wading over towards it, pitching up his robes around his waist. And Shooter, he kind of he runs past you and pulls out this bit of paper from his robes and starts sort of comparing it to the carvings on this obelisk.
You picking up anything, wizard?
I think this must have been what the scouts found. I think this is the original that they took these rubbings from, and you can see he's sort of comparing them, holding them up, and they do look pretty similar to you, Shooter.
So what you're saying is it seems quite a valuable piece of stonework.
What? Priceless, of course.
His eyes light up.
But if you could put a price on it, what would it be?
Well, we're talking here.
How do you intend to remove it? And you can see it's as big as you are, Shooter.
It depends how much gold you reckon it is. Either in one piece if it's a lot, or multiple pieces if not so much. And he's just staring at you.
He pales a little bit at the thought that you're going to smash up this priceless.
Before we get onto that, I know you're dying to do it, but we better find the others, and then we'll come back here and me and you can hack this to pieces. All right, let's go. And he goes towards Dietrich and goes, "Oh, you're pretty nifty at these things. It's good you picked that up." And how big is Dietrich?
Probably just shy of 6 foot.
Oh, so pretty big. Instead of lifting him up like he was intended, he might just push him forward in front of him and sort of edge him on in front to help. What shooting regards as helping shooter, but also on the front line of scouting. Sure.
I mean, like he's an ex-soldier, but he certainly can't handle being manhandled by an ogre. So
yeah, but he's big enough to not get manhandled too much.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk with you.
And Nax links arms with Demetrius, which I'm sure he's not at all bothered about, as she says, "I'm just going to cast a spell just to detect what's going on around here." And she sort of sets in motion a detect magic spell, which is a ritual casting of hers. So it takes a little while to kick in, but then it's going to be active for about 10 minutes after that, as she follows, using Demetrius to keep her footing.
Yeah, Demetrius will have his repeater pistol drawn and is scanning the undergrowth. Definitely got an action readied in case of ambush.
I'm going to just drop back into the tree line and follow everyone, trying to keep myself a little bit out of sight just to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Sure. Okay, well, the 6 of you now with Marius follow Dietrich through past the obelisk and through through more trees. You wade through what appears to be a particularly large pool, and after probably another half an hour of walking, you reach. Well, let me show you what you reach.
Ooh, new map.
Ooh. New map, who this?
Oh boy.
So, you see a rudimentary camp ahead of you. There's some crude tents that look like they've been kind of constructed in a hurry, even more ramshackle than the camp you were just in. And there's a campfire with cold, dead coals, but no signs of life. There you can see that there's a chest as part of the camp here, but you barely pay that any attention because beyond this makeshift camp there is a massive edifice of moss-covered stone. A sprawling city with multiple levels, impressive statues and advanced architecture. This must be what remains of Zanitech, and Marius next to you looks like he's about to explode with excitement.
And I go up to him, pat him on the back and go, "I know, lots of gold in there, right?"
Don't you understand what this is? This is conclusive proof that civilization existed in Lustria long before the Empire.
I know exactly what you mean. We are going to be rich.
Civilization, it's hardly civilization. I mean, it's not a patch on Null. I mean, where are the taverns?
Believe me, gentlemen, wonders uncounted lay ahead of us. We just have to avoid more.
Right, we know you think there's going to be a lot of gold there, buddy. All right, keep it in your pants.
Can I just take a minute to check out this campsite and see if I can figure out roughly how long it's been since it was occupied? See if any plants are growing up through any of the stuff that's been left over. See if there's any heat left in the embers at all, that sort of thing.
Sure. Give me an investigation. Okay.
A pathetic 9.
So, it probably doesn't take. You probably can't tell kind of how old, but but it's certainly not recent. The fire is cold, so mostly ash, to be honest. So there's no suggestion that this was kind of recently occupied, and the tents are kind of are torn and rotting. The chest seems to be in kind of fairly good condition. It's not broken open, but it's clearly not brand new either. The elements are starting to take a toll on it, even though it's well made.
You've said chest, Matt.
I have this chest here.
I've got to pop that bad boy open.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll do my customary little check for traps, and then see if I can open it up.
Yeah. So I'll roll the with a knot. I'll roll the trap checking into the investigation roll. So I'm not sure you would be able to be certain that it isn't booby trapped, but you're guessing given how long ago this camp seems to have been abandoned, probably any like tripwires or anything like that would have rotted away. So you think, unless it's kind of very cleverly built into the actual chest itself, there's nothing kind of external that you can see.
Oh, is it locked?
It is, yeah.
Can I make it not locked?
You can. Yeah, give
Sweet.
me a thieves' tools if you've got them.
I do indeed. I haven't filled in my proficiency bonus for it. I'll just give you a dex.
I think it normally uses sleight of hand, doesn't it? Thieves' tools.
Oh yeah, sure. 23.
Nice. Yeah, you. The lock is it's a decent lock, but it's rusted and corroded away because of the moisture in the air. So you're easily able to. You've cracked much harder.
Probably pick it for a bit, realise I'm not getting anywhere, and just bash it open, rust on it.
Yeah, that works nicely. As you open the lid, inside is a gleaming gold statuette of a toad, not dissimilar to the one that you saw by the coast in Father Utrecht's chapel. But this one has perfect gleaming emeralds where its eyes should be.
Oh boy. Okay. How big is it?
Oh, yes.
The toad itself is probably maybe like 12 inches high. It's big. I mean, it feels like with your experience with stolen goods, Bill, you'd be able to kind of weigh this in your hand. It's weighty,
Alright.
This is solid gold. This is not like gold-plated nonsense.
Crikey. So
Imagine
I'm probably not
finding,
carrying that too easy.
imagine finding a solid gold statue a good third of your own height.
Exactly. Shooter,
Right.
get over here.
Right.
You're gonna like
Is
this.
Nax detecting any magic
What's over?
at all
What's up?
in the area?
Check it out.
Oh, baby, that wizard weren't wrong, was he? Oh, blimey.
You were right, Marius. We are rich.
Nax, I think your detect magic. Not particularly. No.
Not particularly. So it doesn't spark up when the statue comes out of the chest, assuming
No.
I'm near enough
The
to see it.
statue appears to be a mundane, if admittedly priceless, artifact. And a quick scan of your magically enhanced senses over the city ahead of you doesn't appear to ping anything either, which maybe surprises you a little bit. You'd sort of expected something.
Yeah, I think Nax did. Is there any sign of any creatures dotted around? I'm guessing it's deserted as far as we can tell from this distance.
From this distance, I mean, it's a big sprawling city, but from this distance it seems utterly deserted. It kind of looks like the jungle is trying to reclaim its rightful property. Vines and creepers are slithering over the crumbling ruins. There's kind of this low mist that fills the street, but you can't seem to see any movement in the mist. What you can see, maybe most dominating the city, is a enormous central ziggurat, which is kind of, as I say, in the centre of the city, looks like, and it's some distance away from you.
I think Nax probably either on the journey or at this point, she probably draws Demetrius in close and she says, "You know that the little quirk you did with the detecting the thoughts of the Saurius back at the camp?
Oh yes, of course.
While we were on the ship over here, I actually learnt a new incantation that might be of use to you. It's actually a spell that would allow you to understand the language of other creatures, languages that you don't actually know. And I'm just thinking that it might be more useful for me to cast that on you, and then maybe you could shock them in knowing how to speak to them, or at least understanding them. If we're going to come in contact with these strange creatures, maybe it would set them aback if you were able to understand them."
Demetrius is going to ponder this and go, "Well, absolutely. I mean, nobody doesn't love me if they can understand me, right?"
Exactly, and you may even be able to convince them to return our guards without harm.
Well,
She says, trying not to laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
How's Demetrius
an
lived this
absolutely
long?
genius idea.
Because he hangs out with us. Shooter will turn to Butch after he sort of said, how do you think we should play this place? Obviously, there's bundles of things like this. You reckon we go in hard or we take it stealth?
Probably going quiet. They got some big lads in there.
Right. Well, just stay out of sight as much as you can, and I'll take the big ones. Also, I think we need to be careful of this wizard. He might try and steal our bundle. You know what I mean?
I don't think he's a wizard. I think he's just a bloke.
Right.
I haven't seen him do any magic.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. So he's just a thief.
Probably not a good one.
Right, yeah, okay, I'll be wary. And he looks like they've been whispering, and he just looks over at him. Of course, he's got a white patch, so it's like that.
I don't think you even need to roll intimidation. Marius was born intimidated. He kind of shifts uncomfortably under your gaze and then nudges you, Dietrich. He points towards the central ziggurat in the distance. I think our compatriots were probably taken there. Just a guess, but it seems to be the centre of whatever is happening here. I suggest we head towards that cautiously, of course.
Dietrich nods. Yes, that would seem a good analysis of the situation. Tell me, you and your companions have been here for some considerable time, have you not?
Yes, a few months, I believe. It's hard to keep track of time in this God's forsaken place.
And I'm led to believe that you had no inkling of these chaos spawn that are running amok across the landscape.
He probably looks a bit confused at your mention of chaos spawn. I do not, your forgiveness, Father, but I do not believe they are chaos aligned. We have seen no indication that they worship the Dark Ones. They appear to be, well, we had no inkling of them at all until today.
Are they not beasts that walk on two legs that should characteristically not walk on two legs?
Granted, they are unusual.
Would you call them beasts that are somewhat like men?
Yes, I see where you're going with this, Farah.
I'll nod, and then as I kind of shift my weight, I'll grunt. And there is, so like I mentioned before that he's got the sort of like the white and red Reichling uniform from like the waist down. He'll probably notice that it's a bit stained, like they're stained with blood, because Dietrich's pretty banged up. He's just remembered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he took on one of the big ones. But yeah, he grunts as he shifts his weight, onto like his painful side. But you're right. We can't wait to. Well, we have to press on if we're to find the soldiers of Sigmar, still breathing. And I'm going to, because I know we haven't really got time for a short rest. I'm going to do one of these. Wait, click. I'm gonna do this. Click. No,
But
no.
if you
click.
would like a short rest, this miserable camp feels like perhaps your last
Well-
chance to have one, but it will not be
Last
comfortable.
chance. Let's do it quick before he changes his mind.
I guess it's the question of, do we want to wait an hour?
Yes, there could well be consequences for the people you're looking for, but obviously that is your call.
Diedrich is happy to press on because Sigmar protects.
Good Nax
Do we have
investigate.
anything in the way of provisions with us? Did we bring any food or water?
Did I
or
bring any
anything?
food?
We've got a chef. We've got a chef,
How
mate.
dare you?
He might be a chef, but does he have ingredients?
Haven't we all got some of Bill's snacks? I've got a Bill snack. Anyway,
Dude, right.
Sweet. Anyone who's got a bill snack up. But yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense for us to have a little sit down, get our breath back, because we're not going to be any use otherwise.
What
After
does
that
it?
walk through the
Demetrius
jungle.
is all right. He's not banged up particularly, so he's okay.
I've just bossed an 11 hit points on a second wind.
Ooh.
So
Very good.
yeah, it's a proper Captain America tighten the shield
Yeah.
strap a bit tighter moment.
You are filled with righteous indignation.
Yeah. I'm good without a short rest. If
I think then we press on.
Yeah, I mean, Nax will get a spell back, but it's not critical.
All right. Well, if you're pressing on, you are free to move your tokens as you'd like, and I'll tell you kind of what you come to as you explore.
Can Nax just
Um,
investigate anything inside the tent, just to clear that off before,
Yeah.
in case there's anything.
Of course, there's some kind of rotten, like sleeping, like hay, sleeping beds. I was trying to think, like, did they have sleeping bags? Probably not. Yeah, whatever they would have slept on, there's kind of evidence of that, but it's rotted away to almost nothing.
When you
Seems
say
like
they, is it adventurers, humans, or is
yeah, it doesn't look to be. So Marius kind of helps you as you explore these tent Nax, and he confirms that this whatever this camp is, it's nothing to do with his expedition. They'd
Sure.
never reached this far into the jungle, and
Yeah.
had no idea that Xanatek was hidden here. So this is clearly some long past party of adventurers or shipwrecked victims. Some other group, but nothing apparently related to your employers.
Yeah, no, that's fine. As long as we're not missing anything useful in these tents, I'm happy to move on.
could
Okay,
I
well,
scout out ahead of us a little bit?
yeah, of course. So
I
ahead
would
of you,
like to be quite stealthy while I'm doing it, actually, as well.
yeah. I mean, you're welcome
Surprisingly,
to roll
for
me
a massive ogre, I do have disadvantage, but I am +5. +6.
You're welcome to roll
So-
me stealth checks if you'd like to.
Because we bonded on
10.
the trip over. Ogre, what do you see? I loudly
Oh,
whisper.
Dietrich!
Waving your glowing torch.
Clang, clang,
Let's go
clang.
this way. And I respond as loudly as he does this way. We go, well, there's loads of like broken stuff, mate. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to go the other way from these guys.
We
Demetrius
are the
is just
unwitting
gonna
distraction.
Stick with Nax.
Yeah, I'm just going to melt into the shrubbery.
So at the sort of, you're at the entrance, what you guessed would be a gate of the city, and you ascend this little staircase, Bill, to see ahead of you a kind of open courtyard with what looks like a fountain in it. Kind of quite an elegantly constructed one. It's sort of built in the architectural style here is weird. It's not like anything you've seen in the human city, rather than kind of like aesthetic stuff for its own sake. Everything here seems to be in kind of geometric patterns and kind of odd alignments. It seems to be laid out according to a plan that you can't quite fathom, and this fountain's kind of no exception. It's kind of beautiful in its way, but clearly not built by any civilization you're familiar with. And it's filled with this blackish ooze, and there's some kind of like water lilies floating on top.
What do you think, Max? Dwarfs?
I don't know. None of this is familiar to me. It's troubling, but there's just nothing, no sense of anything here. It's like whoever was here abandoned it, and whoever's been here abandoned it. But it can't be completely wasted. I don't understand at all. Yeah, she's a bit reluctant to touch anything, to be honest. She's been quite tentative.
Sure. Well, ahead of you, there's another staircase here, and beyond you can see kind of a pile of bones. Just beyond that, what looks like a pile of bones, and then off this direction, there's another staircase, and there seems to be kind of a trail of red droplets leading up that staircase.
Well, that's very ominous, isn't it?
In front of Shooter, is that a staircase up to the same kind of platform?
It is a staircase up to the same platform. Yeah, it seems to be an alternate.
Is it staircase or a ladder? Because if it's a ladder, I'll just touch him up.
It's a staircase, but it seems to be a bit more broken down than the main one that the others ascended. There's a few steps missing. I mean, you could climb it without effort, but it's just not quite in as good nick.
Sure. After you, good sir.
All right, let's go.
Have you seen anything of this aesthetic in your travels, Ogre?
No, not really. I've been to the desert and seen some temples, and some skeletons and whatnot, but not crocodiles.
There's a...
How about you?
No. I've seen my fair share of horrors, but this is markedly a new one.
Yeah, I'm a bit. I seem this is obviously jungle, whatever. Seems a bit dense, I don't often lose things. If you see that big one, leave him for me. All right.
I nod. I nod and smirk. Don't worry. I think we both have axes to grind with that particular beast.
Yeah. I mean, the other one, it weren't much, but this one, he's got my number,
I see if I can get up fairly high in the middle here. See if I can get a view of the surroundings.
So, from where you are, Bill, just before that pile of bones, off to your left, so down this street here, you can hear an odd whirring sound. You're welcome to kind of try and scrabble up some broken down walls to see what you can see. If you want to put yourself like here.
Be careful, Bill.
Yeah.
Nax is saying from behind him.
Especially if I can hear something weird.
And there's just nowhere to keep out of sight here. As much as this is Bill's forte more than Nax's, she knows that he'd rather be doing so, not quite so exposed. So
I'll kind of leopard crawl, I think, to get down behind the walls a little bit if I can. And firstly, are these bones human?
Yeah, they look to be from a rough perusal.
Unsettling.
And certainly not as old as the surrounding city. They're lying
Bill?
kind of next to an odd pillar here. In
Does
fact,
it look
gonna,
like a trap?
if you're gonna climb up here,
Hmm.
which will give you a bit of a vantage point, then you can make me a perception check.
Bill, before he goes to climb up anything, Bill, Shooter's gone over the other side. Perhaps we should come back to this?
I was hoping to keep an eye on him from above, make sure he doesn't get snuck up on. Not always the most perceptive. Sometimes he is, and it's weird.
It's just that there's a lot of very thick stone here, and at any moment,
right.
if we become separated,
All right, well, keep an eye on
we'll
your
come back to it. She sort of ushers him back.
Yeah, Deirdre, is it? What's that red stuff over there? And he points south of where he is. Funny looking paint, isn't it?
So Dietrich, as you kind of push past Shooter and look at what he's pointing at, you can see what other amount of faith you unmistakably recognise to be an altar, crude and barbaric as it is, obviously compared to the mighty temples of Sigmar. But yeah, there's a huge stone altar here, which is just covered in blood and fresh blood, and it seems to be the source of kind of the red spatter that is all over this particular courtyard and running like a little stream down the steps that Shooter is standing on. And yeah, there are various bones scattered about as well, and resting on the altar is what seems to be a small dagger of black glass.
You're talking awfully quiet, my friend.
Oh, you're muted, I think, Dan.
This is a site of profane activity. No good has come from this place.
Fresh as well. I think might be a bit too late for one of our friends.
It's Can I investigate the area to see if there's any clues other than the dagger? To see, like, any tracking related clues.
Nax would definitely be helping with that, depending on how you play that, Matt.
I'm probably having that dagger.
Yeah, so Bill, you can pick up the dagger, no problem. It looks kind of crudely made. It's not forged. It's definitely just they've sharpened a bit of what looks like volcanic glass and strapped it to a bit of wood. But it'll do the job. It's wickedly sharp.
Cool.
Shooter, you can have advantage because of Nax helping.
I will offer Sigmar's blessings. With
Cool.
guidance.
Yeah. So are you looking? What specifically are you looking for? Are you looking for evidence of the lost expedition members?
Anything that's trackable, if I'm honest. So I'm not too bothered by the guards in general. It's more looking at the things that did this. And is there any way, again, tracks and things like that. So I'd actually, if I could, draw a perception rather than investigation, but that's up to you.
I mean, Nax is happy to investigate while you perceive, because that's the way around it should be.
Yeah. I'm happy to help out investigating as well once I've snaffled that dagger.
I think if you're looking for tracks, then it's probably survival actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a 7 or a 17 because it's the same thing.
Sure. Okay, so I guess with the help of your friends, you'd know that this is a lot of blood, right? So this is multiple people have been killed here, relatively recently. The blood seems to have been kept fresh. It's hard to tell how long ago. The blood seems to have been kept fresh because it's so moist here. But there's enough of it that you think kind of multiple members of the expedition have met their end here, relatively recently. As you look about for tracks, Nax is able to kind of point out a few to you. Some, Bill does the same once he's picked up his dagger. In the kind of pooled blood, there are tiny little kind of clawed footmarks. Judging by the size of them, it's kind of the smaller lizards that you encountered at the camp, the ones that were kind of blending into the tree line and using those little blowpipes. Seems to be mostly them rather than larger creatures, but plenty of them. Seems like they were here and they sort of brought their captives here, at least some of them. But where they've gone, I guess you could roll a 17. It seems like possibly they kind of brought their captives here, did away with them for whatever reason, and then they seem to have gone deeper into the city.
Right, I'll pass all that on and go. I think it's the little blighters.
Is there anywhere beyond this area, like further to go, or in investigating this area, is this a contained area and the only other way to investigate further into the complex is the way that Bill was going originally? Or is
So you're as you look around, Nax, if you look up these steps, basically you come to a enormous carved idol of what looks to be like a hideous snake with kind of feathers. It's bizarre and grotesque, but it looks like a sort of coiled snake ready to strike, but then it's got kind of feathers coming off from it like it's some sort of snake bird hybrid. Really quite a horrific thing.
Would Nax be able to roll a history check or something? Because she, not that she admits it to anyone, or even that she remembers a lot of it, but she originally came from Estalia, where a lot of travellers might have gone to Lustria from. So there might have been reports of this kind of creature, maybe from her. She wouldn't really recall why she knows, but it might be something that just sparks a memory.
You can, but I'm going to say that it's a religion check.
Oh, okay, sure.
But yes, you can if you're from Estalia. It's a good justification.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, actually, as it happens, religion is better than history. But yeah. 18.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you've certainly heard tell of maybe it's been more like kind of children's stories that you might have heard as a young child growing up in Estalia of kind of snake demons, designed to scare children. And certainly if people have been telling tales of Lustria, then these kind of snake demons are sort of rumoured to haunt the coast there. And you're racking your brains for trying to remember sort of what this thing was called, this monster was called. It's like kind of a single entity. In most of the stories, it's kind of a single entity rather than a particular type of creature. And you think the name that was often associated with it in these stories was Sotek?
Sotek, yeah. Cool.
But you don't know much more than that.
No. I think probably she's accidentally whispering Sotek to herself, and she doesn't really know why. But she's just like having memories of, the stories that she might have been told at some point about people being dragged away and taken to offering to Sotek, that sort of thing. Probably Demetrius would hear because they've kept quite close together. And she's probably used to her randomly whispering stuff every now and again.
I imagine the Sigmarite priest with a passive perception of 17 might also glance over his shoulder with a raised eyebrow.
There's something. This is some sort of practice, like you say. I know, Dietrich, you wouldn't approve either way, but I think this is something to do with their beliefs. This isn't necessarily an act of aggression. This is an offering of sorts.
I've seen similar displays of brutality from the goatmen from the beasts of the Reichfold. Entire
I'm not sure-
villages put to slaughter.
Brutality is not the word I'd use. I know that that's probably how it would be perceived, but I think this is a necessity to them. They're not doing it to harm the person that they're inflicting it on. They're doing it because that's what they believe they should do. But I understand how that might be perceived to you. And she sort of knows that she's fighting a lost cause, but, has to say it anyway. Not that she thinks it will change anything about the way forward.
Because I hate to agree with the priest, but I am up to my ankles in blood here.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bill. I don't think it'll change anything. We still need to get our friends back.
Given the sheer amount of it, I'm wondering if Dietrich's trying to put two and two together. If the sheer volume is in itself like an indicator. I'm imagining that, like he would know that the beastmen that roam the Empire, like whenever like Morsleb, the Blood Moon was like in prominence, like rage from beastmen would increase to like appease the gods, and like they had to prove themselves, or like if they thought that they had displeased the gods in some way, they were making it up through like quantity rather than quality. Are there any parallels here? Like, 'cause if there's a lot of sacrifice that seems to have happened, rather than just like the standard ticking over, are they preparing for something or repenting for something? Is that?
Well, it does strike you as odd that a city that seems to be completely ruined and abandoned would still have active worship going on. Because there doesn't seem to be any other signs of kind of life here. But apparently the lizard creatures thought it important enough to continue if this is religious activity, then they thought it important to continue that, if nothing else. So that strikes you as a little odd. And yeah, perhaps either they are, you remember Marius talking about a disaster that had befallen Xanitech at some point in the past. You think you found that in his books, in his research. It was very vague what that disaster was. We kind of lost in the mist of time, but looking around, you can see that it clearly never recovered from that disaster. So perhaps there's an element of kind of repentance here, or wanting to return the city to its former glory somehow. Or perhaps it's more, maybe it's more future focused. Maybe there's a different reason. Hard to say. But clearly, in your belief, where there's kind of active worship going on, it's rarely without purpose. There's normally some reason for it.
The conviction of the faithful is some of the most inviolable actions that any creature can make. There is purpose behind this. Marius was mentioning something, and as I say that, I'll turn and just to check: is Marius with us, or have we lost him?
I realised that.
Just so back at the balls.
Come on, wizard.
Perhaps that would have happened. Yeah. Just
come
getting the
scampering
fire
out
going.
of the jungle.
He sort of appears from behind Shooter's broad back and kind of looks at you, horrified. Looks at this scene of bloodshed over your shoulder.
The suddenness of the attack and what seems to be an almost immediate continuance of their plans, there is something happening here, and it would aid us greatly if we were to stop it.
On that, I can agree with you.
Looks like they've gone inside pretty deep, so shall we?
Yeah, to answer your previous question, Nax, there isn't it doesn't appear to be a way to progress from here. There's kind of the idol of what you assume to be Sotek, but there's it appears like the path that Bill took earlier is the way to get deeper into the city towards the ziggurat.
Yeah, I think Nax probably
I
turned
don't
to Bill.
suppose anybody's seen any bodies, have they?
Well, you hungry?
Don't be saying that in the company of the priest.
That's a good point. Are there, like, in this shallow puddle of blood, are there, like, streak marks?
Drag marks.
Yeah.
Where are they taking the bodies?
Yeah. There.
Or is there a knife and fork just off to the side? A used plate.
In the sort of mess of blood everywhere and footprints all in it, you can't see any clear drag marks. But it does strike you that there are no bodies here. There's the odd bone that seems to have been kind of pulled out and thrown aside. There's kind of on the altar itself there appears to be entrails scattered about, but not actually any complete bodies. And this amount of blood wouldn't mean that there are bodies somewhere, but they don't appear to be visible.
If we were to find any survivors, then we may find evidence of those who were not so fortunate.
I think we got to go in, boys. And lady.
Bill found a way. It looks like that is the way you found Bill. That's the way we need to proceed. But like I said, do be careful.
Yes, we need to head up. But take care, everyone. It's something odd going up there.
Is the ogre going to be able to fit through that small gap? Just for reference.
Why nothing?
Nax doesn't say that out loud. Quite a snug little pass.
I'll have you know I haven't eaten a proper meal in 3 days.
Excuse me?
Well,
Oh.
a snack, of course.
All right.
You've done the best that you could with the ingredients that you've had.
Moodlander, you say you found an alternate ingress into this place?
Up this way, there's some old bones, human, and strange sound as well, so keep your head down.
I assume... how long were we travelling, just so we have a vague idea of where the sun is?
So it's no longer night time. It's now kind of early morning. So at least a few hours.
Okay.
But probably dawn is just sort of starting to appear.
Okay. So start dawn.
What time that actually is here, who knows? But
Sure. Yeah, I'll put the torch away. I'll press the button and the mace goes out.
so you can all now hear, standing behind Bill, you can all now hear this faint whirring sound that he reported earlier, coming up from this narrow street on the left.
Can Nax just hold Bill back from going too far forward and just say, I might just send a little magical spark up that way just to see if anything happens before you go around the corner, if you agree with it.
It's not going to give us away, is it?
Well, possibly. It depends what's there, but I just thought maybe if that gets hit with whatever it is that's whirring, that might be preferable to yourself. You're better at this sort of thing, so I won't if you'd rather not.
Let me have a little look, and if it seems like it's dangerous, then we'll go with Project Spark.
Yeah, she casts Mage Hand in her hand, and basically shows him what the spark that she's referring to is, ready to send it around the corner or do whatever it says on his command. She's more than happy. She trusts him completely to get it right. So
I'll just very cautiously pick my way forwards and peek round the corner if I can.
Yeah, so you kind of daintily step between the bones and kind of past this pillar here, and you poke your head round the corner. Yeah, you can give me a perception check if you like, Bill.
Perception's mediocre. 18.
Oh, 18's pretty good. Okay, so at the end, there's a long, kind of narrow street ending in another set of stairs. The end of the street, at the base of the stairs, is another pile of bones. And the reason for this soon becomes clear because there is a kind of whirling blade mechanism that is bouncing backwards and forwards at the base of the stairs, kind of blocking off the stairs. And it's clear that whoever these bones belong to just got caught and kind of eviscerated by this thing. The blades seem to be kind of quite rusted, and they've taken a battering from the elements. They've clearly been. This trap was triggered a while ago and has been kind of continuously operating since then. So we've taken a beating from the elements, but it still looks nasty enough that you don't want to get cut by it.
Incredible.
And you can see that the blade mechanism is moving in a kind of groove that's cut in the stone of the floor. And as you look down at your feet, you trace this groove all the way down the street here. And also just where you're standing as well, either side of the pillar.
Sweet, I will jump backwards. Pretend that I wasn't shocked and turn around and be like, I've got a blade trap. Haven't found the trigger yet.
She looks around to see if anyone has any bright ideas.
Could I perceive to see if I can trigger, or is it
You've
investigate?
described the trap, right, Bill?
Yeah, so I'll describe it. And Matt, did it seem like those blades, that groove, is it all part of one continuous blade trap and they're just caught at that end, or does it seem like it's separate grooves for separate blades?
All the grooves seem to be connected to you, but the blades were just kind of going backwards and forwards at the base of the stairs. They weren't coming down the street towards you.
So
I'll relay the details.
Yeah, they were going horizontally, kind of from these two walls here.
We can probably get past the ones that are active easily enough, but don't know what's going to cause the other ones to pop out.
Looking down there, how tall is the wall, the other side of it? Would I be able to prop people up around about here?
Probably not. Probably be quite tall.
Sure.
Given the amount of sort of like rubble and debris, are there any like chunks of like pillar that are relatively chunky but portable enough that Shooter might be able to hold it vertically?
Possibly. I mean, there'd be loads of bits of masonry around. What exactly did you want to try and do with it?
Well, based off the description that our halfling companion has given us, if you were to hold some part of this, hold some of this stone masonry in front of you, Ogre, then if a blade were to come towards you, the masonry would catch the blade before it bit into you, potentially jamming and destroying the mechanism. If it's moving if the blades are cutting horizontally as they move backwards and forwards, if you were to hold the masonry vertically, it would catch the blades.
Is he saying this to Shooter? Sorry,
So
horizontally
you
and
want me
vertically.
just to catch the
Nax
blade?
is frantically trying to do this.
Right.
As he's saying these big long
What
words.
blade? He comes towards it. Come on, Bill, out of the way. I'll catch a blade. No problem.
You've got to
Between
use
your
smaller
palms.
words, Dietrich. You've got
Catch
to
it or
use
shoot
smaller
it?
words.
I'll shoot it. Right. Someone go. I'll shoot it before it gets them.
I'm not saying, Jeff, you may be onto something there. Do you think perhaps we might be able to foul the mechanism by destroying part of it from range?
Good idea,
If I just shoot this
Perhaps.
pillar, what?
Not the pillar, the trap, the blades.
Pillar might be a good idea, actually.
Right.
We can destroy that.
It shoots the pillar. Bill said.
Oh, Jesus.
Things coming down.
Okay.
I assume we're outside, yeah? That pillar's not load bearing.
No, you are outside. This Xanatech
Okay.
is mostly uncovered to the sky.
By the way, Bill.
Yes. You blast away, shooter, with your pistols at this pillar. And when the smoke clears, the pillar has kind of toppled over with a crash, as you've kind of undermined it with your pistol shots. There's a sort of creaking sound from the far end of the street, and a strange change. Something clicks metallically, and anyone who's kind of peeking around the corner can see that the blades have started, have shifted into a new groove and are now heading down the street.
I would like to shoot them as well, please.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and give me a. Where are you standing to shoot them? Because that might make a difference.
So I was shooting, standing here, but if I can hear the things, I will get a bit closer and give it a go and try and shoot them down before they come. Presumably they're coming straight at me, and I'm just going to shoot them down before they get there. Because
okay,
I'm going to try to pull him
Yes.
back, but I'm probably not even noticed.
oh, it's done it. It's clicked it right, and then he wants to go shoot the things.
yeah, give it a go. Don't miss.
Miss on an 18.
18 is probably okay. So you, as these blades start swirling towards you, shooter, you quickly have to reload, and then point down the street and blast. And you're kind of expecting the blades to bite into you through the gun smoke.
He
any
closes
minute.
his one eye that he's got. He closes it and just shoots.
But when the smoke clears, the metal blades are just lying kind of in splinters across the street, and the little pole that they were stood on is just kind of sadly going backwards and forwards, helplessly.
Right, it's safe. Let's go.
Nice work.
Nax turns to Dietrich and says,
Kisses.
your idea with the big stone probably would have worked too.
That's just what happened, wasn't it? I heard a lot of explosions and commotion. I assume that's what happened.
It's exactly what happened. You're right. Yes.
Doesn't sound like Demetrius.
The pillar's lying right there. He's clearly used it as I intended.
Demetrius is just drinking his wine at this point, going, "I hate this place. This is not where I wanted to go on holiday."
Yes, you're able to kind of make your way up these stairs. I see Bill's already made a head start, but it seems like the trap has been, in a crude but effective manner, disarmed.
Nothing can prevent Sigmar's wrath like brute force.
Lovely.
As
We're
you,
ascending up these stairs now.
as you kind of rise up another level of the city, you guys can see something that kind of shocks you off in this direction, and your senses kind of, you have to sort of do a double take. There appears to be a large wooden galley suspended kind of on, leaning against the wall of the city, improbably suspended by a net of vines that's hanging from the canopy. Perhaps you are not as far from the coast as you thought, or perhaps some massive storm carried it here somehow. But yeah, this huge wooden galley is leaning against the side of the city wall, and it seems to be kind of propped up by this moss-covered tree trunk, which is kind of connecting it to near where you're standing.
Both hands on my hips, I boldly declare, "You can't park there, mate."
Well, that is something, and not something I was expecting. Have you seen anything like it? Have you written about anything like that, Demetrius?
I'm utterly bamboozled. How by Tol's hairy balls did it get there?
Well, it's certainly something to write about in a new chapter, anyway.
Yes, absolutely. And he's going to take out his pad and his pen and he's going to start scribbling away.
It's propped up by the tree. Does the tree look like it was struck by a ship going at some velocity, or like does it look like the ship's just kind of like being cradled in almost?
Yeah, no. The tree looks like it's had a ship hit it, and it's kind of shattered effectively, and the ship is sort of resting / impaled on its trunk that's still in the ground. But a particularly large branch has kind of broken off and is connecting the main deck of the ship to nearby where you're standing, the stone wall. And yeah, it's also kind of caught up in vines as well that are hanging from the canopy. So it's fairly well
secured.
Well, yes, it sort of looks probably entangled in the jungle canopy. And you realise you can sort of, by kind of following these sort of streets, you can sort of reach the place where the log connects to, should you wish to.
Yeah, I think we've probably made our way slowly round until Shooter shoots something, or Bill shouts anything untoward.
Ain't no blades to shoot, mate.
No.
It's getting a bit tight here.
Yeah, Shooter, it is tight in here, Shooter. This is clearly like an indoor area at one point, and the ceiling has long since collapsed, but still, it's not really built for your proportions.
I imagine your ogre gut plate is just like
I do have a butt plate as well.
Yeah.
Scraping the walls as you squeeze.
Yeah. Maybe every now and then a little gas comes out as well. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
I'm just striding on through.
Is it worth sending some people up into the galley in case we can ascertain the origins of such a phenomena?
Good point. There might be some gold in the hold.
Or some answers as to how it ended up in a tree.
Probably
Sure.
gold. That's normally the reason for most things. I will stay here though, because those vines don't look particularly low bearing.
The Shooter, you seem to have waded into a fog-spawn covered pool just here.
It is quite hot though, right?
Yeah, it's unpleasantly warm
Oh.
and thick. It's like soup.
Edible,
Could it be soup?
Yes.
You're welcome to try it, my friend.
Hey, Bill, you reckon any of this any good for one of your concoctions?
I'll have a little sip of it. I'll get my ladle. Get my ladle out and just have a little check it out.
So you kind of sip this foul, blackish filth down, and as you're sort of retching it back up, Bill, two large, bulbous yellow eyes rise out of the water and stare directly into yours.
Love it.
Hello.
What seems to be a large, glistening toad is regarding you impassively from the water.
Can I try and catch the toad?
Yeah.
Oh, grab it.
When you say large, do you mean like 2 feet across or like 12 feet across?
I mean, it's a solid, like, a foot across, I would say.
All right.
It's a big toad.
That's good meat. Go, go, go.
I'm on it! I'm on it! And he dives onto it to try and catch it.
You can make me a dex check, Shooter.
No, dex saving throw or a dex check?
No, dex check.
Oh, damn.
Saving throw against the toad.
Yeah. 13?
We will find out. Yeah, I think you managed to dive headfirst into the water, and you come up spluttering with your mouth covered in frog spawn. Like the brim of your hat is filled with it, but you're holding victoriously this enormous, glistening yellow toad. It's kind of like a dull yellow brown
blue?
colour.
No.
Second
good.
prize toad of the day.
Quick! Kill it! It's a bit slippery.
Oh.
Use the dagger you found earlier.
I'm just going to jab it until it stops going.
I
That's a
imagine.
dex save, right?
I can only imagine Dietrich, Nax, and Demetrius are just stood on the edge of the pool in utter disbelief.
Talking about gold, catching lunch.
Has anyone seen The Simpsons, baby? Where they're like jab, 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 jab.
Superb.
Great. You managed to bludgeon this priceless, probably endangered species to death.
Definitely endangered now.
Yeah, so if it wasn't before, it is now. And you've got some questionable meat to eat, I suppose. Well done.
Sweet. All right.
Demetrius is going to look at our priestly friend and say, this isn't as unusual as you might think.
You just have to give them a little time. They'll get through it.
Much like Toad, they're an acquired taste.
Yeah,
I'll add questionable toad meat to my inventory, right?
You go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
I mean, thinking about it, Reichland's like the westernmost empire province, right? So we border on Bretonia. So perhaps eating frogs or toads isn't all that weird.
Yeah, fair enough. You have some garlic butter, and this baby's going to cook up a dream.
Yeah, I mean, you lot aren't going to be complaining about this once I've sauteed it later. It's going to be great.
I cannot wait.
I'll look to Demetrius and Maxine, and well, while those two are busy, is anyone planning on investigating this galley?
Would we be able to
Demetrius
see
will look at
this
Max, I guess.
tent from our vantage point or not?
Yes, probably. It looks as kind of ruined and weather beaten as the others in the camp we just passed.
So it
But
wouldn't
probably
strike
from a
as anything
similar-
different.
No, probably you guess it's probably connected to the same party of adventurers. But why it's out here on its own, you're not sure.
Yeah.
It's
think-
probably 30 feet below you, 40
Yeah,
feet
sure.
below you on the
Yeah.
jungle floor.
I think Nax would say to Dietrich, well, it doesn't look like it's overly secure, so I don't think our more adventurous friends are too keen on it. But do you think we need to, or is it more about getting inside this temple, if you can call it a temple?
Actually, yeah, I you're right. I've changed my mind. It's unlikely that the guards, the soldiers from the camp, would be contained within. We should press on.
Demetrius will look relieved at the fact that no one's going to ask him to clamber across this log onto this rotting free boat. Yes, absolutely. I feel that we should press on.
It might come in handy later if we need to dislodge it, potentially.
Dietrich's mouth opens as if he's about to say something like disparaging about that idea, but then there's like a moment where he goes, "Huh."
The big beastie that you came up against.
Yeah, and then I'll close my mouth and just nod.
Shooter, are we? Have we caught it? Are we ready to move on, perhaps? Or do you need it? And Nax stops herself from saying there might be more, and just doesn't say that. Says, "You've got it now, haven't you?"
and you see Shooter getting out of the swampy rubbishness, the pond that is on the other side, and says, "Yep, we got food, we got the chance of gold. Let's go."
Is there any way round the soupy pond?
I mean, you could sort of try and scramble up onto these kind of stone walls and shimmy your way along. Yeah.
You need a hand?
Yeah, I think Nax would be quite keen to have a hand.
He'll wade through again.
Yeah.
Quite happy. What? Who's first? Bill, get on top.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then
Nax is more than happy to be transported. And Nax probably whispers, Demetrius won't ask, but he'd love a ride across as well.
I've got it. Oh, no problem. And he'll here, literally, he's quite big, I guess, so he can maybe
you
only
can probably
step
just stand
over.
where you are, and
Put it on the hat.
Just
Demetrius and Nax in one hand each.
yeah.
Marius looks
good
down into the
chap.
fog spawn and just looks like something is broken in his psyche.
Yeah. I won't like wait for him to ask. I'll just whoever's next put over to the next side unless they object.
Marius, Demetrius, Saurus. Just whoever turns up.
It's just like a Scooby-Doo thing, right? You just what? That's everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So
Yep.
the
8 of us.
the central the central ziggurat lies directly ahead of you. You can see a huge set of stone stairs, bigger than anything you've seen so far, leading up to what you assume to be its summit. Are you happy to head up there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
if
think
happens
so.
the word, but let's go.
Okay. Well, just as you set your foot on the bottom stairs, Nax, how long does detect magic last?
Oh, only 10 minutes, unless it would have expired by now.
Okay, all right,
I don't think I was recasting it after all this.
fair enough. Probably still, with your arcane senses, you'd feel a subtle shift in the winds of magic around you. Well, probably not that subtle actually, but because you haven't got detect magic up, you can't tell much more about it. But before you're able to kind of say anything to the others, a beam of brilliant blue light erupts from the summit of the ziggurat out of sight far above you and sears into the sky. And before you can say or do anything, a wave of rippling magical energy sweeps down to engulf you and the ruined streets of Zantek around you. And you close your eyes, unable to kind of get out of the way, unable to do anything. You close your eyes and brace yourselves for oblivion. And as this wave of magical energy sweeps over you, we will take a break.
It's
Nice.
fine.
So,
We've got backup characters. It's a Warhammer world. We were expecting to die. It's fine.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
thank you so much for playing, guys, and thank you to you all for watching. We'll be back next time to find out what happens to our intrepid adventurers and whether they're just immolated instantly or whether they're find out whether there is a next session. We'll find out.
It'll be the shortest
wait.
next session ever.
You die.
No, he's going to describe it in excruciating detail across 3 hours.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're filling the time.
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
guys. See you next time.
Guys. See you
Yeah.
later.
Bye.